The Boston Bruins are off to Vancouver for a Western Canadian road trip that begins on Wednesday night against the Canucks. A bunch of lineup updates to share, as well as the updated Atlantic Division power rankings here on today's episode of Locked On Boston Bruins.
You're Locked On Bruins, your daily podcast on the Boston Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast. I'm your host, Ian McLaren, and this is a daily show where we discuss all things Spoke to Be, as well as take a look around the NHL. Today is Tuesday, December 7th, and I want to thank you for making Locked On Boston Bruins your first listen every day. We are free and available on all podcast platforms, as well as on YouTube, so please smash that subscribe button. Each new episode will be automatically added to your feeds and to the YouTube channel for you to download, listen, watch, enjoy at your leisure. I also want to mention today's episode is brought to you by Omaha Steaks. The holidays are around the corner, and finding the perfect gift is tricky. Omaha Steaks makes it easy to send friends and family an unforgettable gift, guaranteed to be loved. Go to omahasteaks.com and enter NHL into the search bar to order the perfect gift package. Now, the Boston Bruins did indeed gather this morning for practice as they get set to travel to Vancouver this afternoon in advance of tomorrow night's game against the Canucks. They were supposed to travel yesterday, but there were several players missing as a result of a non-COVID related illness, including Linus Ullmark, which prompted the practicing of Tuukka Rask as an emergency backup goalie. Talked about that on a bonus episode yesterday. Now, there were still several Bruins absent from practice here on Tuesday morning, including Charlie Coyle, Matt Grzelcyk, among those who were missing. And head coach Joe Sacco addressed the media afterwards. He said Matt Grzelcyk and Charlie Coyle will travel with the team, although Thomas Nosek will not. He's another guy that is suffering from this non-COVID related illness. So he will not travel. He could join the team later on in the road trip, but he will not be on the flight from Boston to Vancouver this afternoon. Bruce Cassidy also will not travel, and he is expected to rejoin the team when they return to Boston. Seeing as they're going to Canada, the rules for getting in and out are a bit trickier, especially if you've tested positive for COVID over the last little bit, which he has. And Bruce Cassidy will not coach the Bruins for at least the next 3 games. Linus Ullmark was back on the ice for Bruins practice, so Tuukka not there. It was a bit confusing on the AHL transactions page this morning, as Kyle Kieser was both recalled and sent back down to Providence. So I don't know if there was some confusion about Ullmark's availability, but it seems as though they will not be bringing Kieser with them on the road trip. Oscar Steen was recalled, and he will be joining the team on the road trip. The lines at practice this morning were, a bit off because of player absences. The top line, Marchand, Bergeron, Pasternak, was intact. Marchand, of course, will return to the lineup tomorrow night after serving his 3-game suspension. Taylor Hall was back on the second line with Craig Smith on the right side. Eric Howla subbing in for Coyle, who is still sick. On the third line, Anton Bleed was back in regular jersey. He was skating with Trent Frederick and Nick Foligno. And then on the fourth line, we have Jake DeBrusk, still with the team, not yet traded. Curtis Lazar and Carson Kuhlman. Like I said, Coyle will join the team as well. he will travel. Oscar Steen coming along as well in case either Bleed's not ready, Coyle can't go, etc. John Moore was recalled the other day. He's traveling with the team, and that's partly due to the fact that Jakub Zboril will be out at least 2 weeks with a lower body injury. Charlie McAvoy missed practice. In fact, he missed a game, the last game, with that non-COVID related illness. He's back, but in case Grizzlet can't go, John Moore was brought up. He skated on the third pair with Jacques Auchan and Connor Clifton rotating in and out. So looks like the Bruins are bringing some extra bodies with them just in case somebody can't play. And because Thomas Nosek will not be with them for at least the first game against the Vancouver Canucks. On top of all that, Patrice Bergeron said he broke his nose for the 6th or 7th time in his career. This happened last week against the Nashville Predators. It was reset, and he said the procedure was more about helping his breathing than anything aesthetic. He says his modeling career is probably over at this point. Highly debatable, but he was wearing a full cage at practice today to protect that sweet nose of his. So that is kind of the latest when it comes to the Bruins. Still remains to be seen who exactly will be in and out of the lineup. Again, a bunch of guys joining the trip in case some players can't draw in. There's always the possibility that Jake DeBrusk will be traded. I read this morning that, Chicago Blackhawks still very much making Dylan Strome available on the trade market. He's the guy that I would be after at the moment. And I don't see why that hasn't happened yet, unless it's not enough on one or the other side. I think that would be a great fit for the Boston Bruins. But again, I'm not Don Sweeney, so we'll see how that shakes out. Tomorrow's podcast, of course, we will update what the roster looks like, any player movement in between now and puck drop tomorrow night. The game will be at 9 p.m. Eastern against the Vancouver Canucks, a team that shut out the Los Angeles Kings last night in their first game under new head coach Bruce Boudreau, and they surely will be looking to build off that and take advantage of a Bruins team that is somewhat dinged up and a bit in flux at the moment. We'll do also a mailbag on Wednesday, tomorrow's episode. So please do send some questions in to at Locked NHL Bruins on either Twitter or Instagram, or you can find me at Ian C. McLaren. Let's talk for a little moment here about Omaha Steaks. The holidays are around the corner. Finding the perfect gift can be tricky. Omaha Steaks makes it easy to send friends and family an unforgettable gift, guaranteed to be loved. Right now, if you go to omahasteaks.com and enter NHL into the search bar, you can order the perfect gift package. What does that include? Well, for $99.99, you'll get 24 entrees like the world-famous bacon-wrapped filet mignons. Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. Chicken breasts, sides, desserts, and so much more. Again, when you use code NHL, you'll also get an additional 8 Omaha Steak burgers for free with your order. There's reports of shortages and shipping delays, so do not wait. Get that meat under your tree. Order the perfect gift package today at omahasteaks.com, and you'll get those 8 free burgers when entering the NHL code as well. That's omahasteaks.com, keyword NHL. And again, a huge package of meat can be under the tree, $99.99. Those 8 free burgers on top of that. You just really can't go wrong with this Omaha Steak package under the tree this year. Now, you listen to podcasts for the power of knowledge. I think I subscribe to like 40 podcasts. You can switch to Boost Mobile for the power of saving money. Get 3 unlimited data lines for $30 a month per line. and a free 5G phone when you switch. So you can get all the latest episodes of Locked On Boston Bruins and others, all on one of America's largest 5G networks. That's more power to save with Boost Mobile. Disclaimer, the free phone is limited to new customers and one per line. Additional restrictions apply. Offers and coverage not available everywhere or for all phones or networks. See boostmobile.com for details. All right, it is Tuesday, and that is when we update the Atlantic Division power rankings here on the Locked On Bruins podcast, as well as take a look at the Metro, because the Bruins really do look to be in line to challenge for a wild card spot at this point. Might not be possible or realistic to jump into the top three in the Atlantic, which are the three guaranteed spots in that division. I just want to thank you again for making Locked On Boston Bruins your first listen every day. It really means a lot that so many people are listening to the podcast, engaging with the podcast on a daily basis. And I'm excited about what's to come here. This week on the podcast, special guest on Thursday, you're not going to want to miss. And just rolling through with Bruins coverage as they play these games in Western Canada this week. Let's start at the bottom of the Atlantic. And, the bottom three teams, pretty well set. Not much is going to change there. None of these teams are going to make the playoffs. The Montreal Canadiens have grabbed the last spot in the Atlantic, 6-17-3. They recently cleaned the front office, starting to make some changes, and we'll probably see things get worse there before they get better. The Ottawa Senators were supposed to be a bit better this season. They're on a 3-game winning streak, actually. But they're still at a .326 point percentage, 7-15-1. Sabres had a good start. They're 8-13-3 with a .396 save percentage. Pretty much write-offs for all three teams at the moment. This is where it gets a bit more interesting, is in the top five. Right now, the Detroit Red Wings sit in fourth in the Atlantic with 29 points, a record of 13-9-3. But they are behind the Bruins when it comes to point percentage. Their point percentage is only 58 or .580, and they have a -7 goal differential. So their lead over the Bruins is kind of circumstantial. They have played 4 more games. They're 4 points ahead. If you look at their underlying numbers, shot attempt differential, they're at 28th in the NHL. When it comes to expected goal differential, they rank a bit higher, 15th in the NHL, but still at 49.84. So on the other side of positive. So Detroit, off to a good start. They're really boosted by rookies, Moritz Seider and Lucas Raymond. But I don't see them sticking around for this full season, although, by next season, and with a couple more additions to the roster, they could be very much in play for a playoff spot, especially with the addition of goalie Alex Nedeljkovic. Now the Bruins, fourth place in the Atlantic, 12-8-1 through 21 games, .595 point percentage, +5 goal differential. Again, their underlying numbers remain strong. 5-on-5, they're first in expected goals. They're also I shouldn't say that. They're third when it comes to high danger chances for at 55.12. I talked recently about how their high danger chances were ranked 31st in the NHL at 5-on-5, but that is also a function of having played less games. When it comes to the differential on an average basis, they are 55.12. So producing more high danger chances than they are allowing, which is a very good sign. But still, they haven't really put up the wins. They're not getting that 5-on-5 tangible scoring, and we really need to see that come through here in the next few games against these Western Canadian teams. Now, third place, I'm going to put the Toronto Maple Leafs. They're 17-7-2, 36 points. A lower point percentage than the Tampa Bay Lightning in second. And they will also be without Mitch Marner for 3 to 4 weeks as he was injured in practice in a collision with Jake Muzzin. Not many details coming out about that one, but that will certainly set them back. They're at plus 18, which is a bit better than the Tampa Bay Lightning's plus 16. But for the time being, because of that injury to Mitch Marner, I'm going to put Lightning in second, Toronto in third. Florida Panthers continue to roll. They've won 3 in a row despite not having star center Alexander Barkov in the lineup. There's a 771 point percentage, plus 26 goal differential, tops in the Eastern Conference in point percentage, and also just behind the Washington Capitals when it comes to goal differential. This team's legit, and they could very well run away, with the Atlantic Division, which would set up a Toronto-Tampa Bay first round, which would be very interesting to watch. Where the Bruins fit in, whether they are first wildcard or second wildcard team, that's probably where we're sitting at the moment. If you look at point percentage among the wildcard teams or teams outside of those top 3 in each division, the Bruins are tops in point percentage. They're behind Pittsburgh, Detroit, and Columbus when it comes to actual points. But in point percentage, they are above Pittsburgh and Detroit, who are both at 580, and the Blue Jackets at 565, which would mean if they're the first wildcard team, they play the lesser of the 2 division leaders. So right now they would be matched up. Well, point-wise, they'd be matched up against the Panthers. Point percentage standings, they'd be matched up against the Washington Capitals. So either way, it's going to be tough for the Bruins to get out of the first round, much less the second round. But let's take things as they come. There's been a lot of debate the last couple of days about whether or not they should add Tuukka Rask, if it's fair to Jeremy Swayman. In my mind, I look at a team's roster kind of at the beginning of the season, at the trade deadline, and then prior to the playoffs in case there's been any injuries and such. For these Boston Bruins, they've certainly underachieved so far based on their underlying numbers. They're not getting that offensive production, but I think there's a team there that could compete. And if you add Tuukka Rask, suddenly they have more of a safety net, so to speak, at that position. And perhaps they have more confidence on the offensive side to get things done. The one piece where the Bruins are really lacking right now is shooting percentage. 5-on-5, they rank dead last in the NHL at 5.84. Their save percentage has gotten a bit better. 5-on-5, they're 21st. So right now, if they were to get Tuukka Rask back and then add some scoring, either by way of the Jake DeBrusk trade or another trade to come, then I really do think there could be something there. And, if you get into the playoffs, you never know what is going to happen. But first, they have to take care of Jake DeBrusk, see what happens, what the return is there, and then go from there. And I really do think Don Sweeney, we all know he's very active prior to or at the trade deadline in the past. And I could see him, making a swing to shore up the lineup this season to fill the hole left by David Krejci and things like that. The rebuilding process, probably a year or two away. There's a lot of players on the roster right now. The majority will be under contract for next season. There's Bergeron, who will be an unrestricted free agent, but I would like to think he'll be back. Jake DeBrusk, a restricted free agent, probably won't be around. Carson Kuhlman, Jakob Zboril, restricted free agents. So the Bruins I think the idea was to be competitive this season and next, see where Bergeron's at, see where Marchand's at after that, and kind of go from there. So I don't think they'll be throwing in the towel this season unless things really go off the rails. If you want to bet on where the Bruins will finish this season, BetOnline, as you covered, for more props, odds, and lines than ever before. Football is marching to the playoffs. The New England Patriots with a big win last night. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all sports action this season. Head to their new updated desktop or mobile website. Sign up today and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit by using promo code LOCKEDON. They have you covered from pro and college basketball, pro and college football, NHL, boxing, UFC, even some of your favorite Vegas casino games. Take advantage of all the amazing offers they have. It's the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. That's BetOnline, where the game starts. Let's finish with some news and notes around the NHL. And just kind of amazing how Alex Ovechkin continues to produce. He, I believe, is the quickest in Washington Capitals history to hit 40 points for a season. Right now, he leads the NHL. Does he lead the NHL in goals? No, he's one back of Leon Draisaitl. He's got 20 goals. When it comes to points, he is third in the NHL behind Draisaitl, who has 43. McDavid has 42. Ovechkin at 41. So 20 goals, 21 assists, just unreal production for a guy that many thought might kind of just settle in and try to chase Gretzky's record. But right now he is, front runner for the Hart Trophy, Rocket Richard Trophy, in contention for the Art Ross. Pretty amazing for a guy of his age. And we really shouldn't. Vancouver, the Philadelphia Flyers also did some firing yesterday, relieving head coach Alain Vigneault and assistant coach Michel Therrien of their duties. Mike Yeo replaced Vigneault behind the bench for last night's game against the Colorado Avalanche, which they were soundly beaten in. And it'll be interesting to see what they do moving forward. Neil Pionk was suspended 2 games for kneeing Maple Leafs defenseman Rasmus Sandin. He'll be out of the lineup for 1 or 2 weeks. Still waiting to see what happens with Jason Spezza. He's having a hearing this afternoon for a retaliatory knee. That is an in-person hearing, so he could be out for up to 5 games there. Montreal Canadiens, I mentioned, worst team in the Atlantic. Goaltender Carey Price isn't expected to return before Christmas. Be interesting to see if he is a sneaky trade candidate down the road. But he still has, I believe, a few seasons left on his deal with the Montreal Canadiens. Again, he was made available in the expansion draft. He still has 4 seasons after this one under contract at $10.5 million. So that's going to be a bit hairy for them to move and make their rebuilding play more prohibitive. Anyways, that is it for today's episode of Locked On Boston Bruins. Thank you so much for taking some time to listen and for making it your first listen every day. For your second listen, recommend the Locked On Bets podcast. They have you covered for all your daily betting action, gambling needs, hosted by your boy Q. Expert analysis from Lee Sterling, free and available on all platforms. And we'll be back tomorrow with another episode of Locked On Boston Bruins. Send in your mailbag questions, and we'll also tee up tomorrow night's game against the Vancouver Canucks. Happy Tuesday, everybody, and we will talk to you again tomorrow. Peace.